Hey travelers, just stopping by to let you know that this episode that you are about to listen to is one of our older ones, and we were going through some growing pains at this time. But if you would like to start from where we consider our newest era of quality, I would go ahead and jump to episode 54, The American Bigfoot. Either way, enjoy travelers. The earliest mention of the mythological horse-like creature known as a unicorn was in the written piece Indica, authored by the Greek physician Ctesias in 400 BCE. In Indica, Ctesias described wild asses, which are large as horses and even larger. Their bodies are white, their heads dark red, and their eyes dark blue. They have a horn in the middle of their forehead that is 1 cubit in length. The base of the horn is pure white. The upper part is sharp and of a vivid crimson, and the middle portion is black. Ctesias documented the stories told to him by those traveling the Silk Road, which is the main route of transportation from China to Western Europe, which spans more than 14,000 miles. Many think that this mythological creature is exactly that, myth. But how does that explain the fact that ancient civilizations throughout the world have art and hieroglyphs depicting these magical creatures, and no way to communicate between themselves? Can we for sure say that just because we do not have a fossil record of the unicorn, that it never existed? Probably. But let's take a look anyway. Welcome back to Infinite Rabbit Hole. All right, welcome back to Infinite Rabbit Hole, everybody. I'm Jeremy, your host, and today I'm joined with Jake, CJ, and Andrew. Jake, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, dude. Happy to be here.
Right on, dude. And CJ and Andrew, you guys are coming off that awesome episode that we just did with Thatch from Puckle about the Pokemon and mythology, which was awesome.
Yep, and I have sweat running down my ass crack right now.
As do I. Andrew, what's going on, man?
Nothing much. I'm relaxing in air conditioning, central heating in a house. I don't know why you guys don't have it. I know you're probably, what you said, you record in a garage.
Yeah. Fuck me.
Yeah, and then CJ, are we back to cursing again? CJ records in like the spawns of hell. Like
I
the
do.
Third layer or something.
Andrew has been here with me before when it's been stupid hot. We tried to AC it down. It lasted 10 minutes because you can't run the AC when we're recording. And then, the fires of hell rose back up in here. And, I'm cooking. I'm
right
cooking.
On. Well, we're going to go from the fires of hell to the mythological beast known as the unicorn. And we're going to talk about this thing that apparently farts sparkles and shits rainbows. All jokes aside, we are talking about the unicorn today on a serious note. Probably be some jokes in there. I can't imagine that we're going to do this episode without some funny business. That's pretty much it for the intro. I don't really have much. Andrew, you got anything to put out about the Patreon?
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. If you want to check out some bonus behind the scene content or just donate to us so we can grow the show, support us for the great content we've been putting out for you, you can check out our Patreon page, which is Infinite Rabbit Hole, or Patreon at Infinite Rabbit Hole, right? We'll put the link in the episode. You can definitely see there's 3 different tiers currently. The best tier is the tier that fits for you, right? I'm not gonna say my boy Bigfoot is the best thing ever, but I'm sure that we'll have Jeremy agree with me over there. That is our mid tier. You get bonus behind the scene content in addition to bonus episodes and a shout out for supporting us. So check it out. See if you want to do any of the tiers. They're enticing. And for those people that stick around and are a Patreon, they'll get to hear our bottom of the whole episode at the end of this.
That is facts. Just to put it out there, if you would like to listen to these episodes 5 days early, you have access to them starting Sunday mid-morning to afternoon. Times will probably vary, but
nope,
you can
midnight Sunday.
Midnight Sunday. Look at that. So first thing Sunday morning, you will have access to all episodes of Infinite Rabbit Hole full 5 days before they will be revealed to the rest of the world.
I'm going to say Eastern.
And also immediately, correct me if I'm wrong here, Andrew, but you'll immediately get access to the bottom of the hole as well.
For any tier 1, 2, or 3, bottom of the hole is available. Anybody that wants earlier episodes, that is tier 2 and 3.
So you have to at least do the Bigfoot tier, which is our mid tier, to earn the episodes 5 days early. Got it. We do have some bonus content that's coming to the Patreon here very soon. We're going to upload all the notes that we have for these episodes. I'm also going to go ahead and upload the notes that I have from all the episodes prior. Unfortunately, I data dumped all my season 1 notes, but I still have all my season 2 and all the bonus episode notes as well to share with everybody. If anybody would like to see how I kind of prepare for the show. Other than that, I think we're ready to jump into Unicorn. What do you think, guys?
Yep, let's do
You
it.
could jump on a unicorn.
Ooh, all right. I think CJ wants to lead us into the mythology of the unicorn.
Sure. The unicorn really comes from many, many, many places on Earth. A lot of times they're a 4-legged animal, typically a horse or a mule with a single horn on their head. However, we do have variations that come from places like Persia that have several legs and don't look like a horse at all, but are nonetheless a unicorn. But we'll talk about the European and Western version of the unicorn, because that's what's most prevalent in what you're going to see in movies, stories, sci-fi, whatever it is, media you're consuming. You say unicorn, there's a specific image that pops into your head. We'll talk about that one. When I mentioned jumping on a unicorn, good luck doing that. In order to ride a unicorn, you have to be absolutely pure of soul and have committed absolutely no form of any crime in the past. And when it comes to good, bad, good, and evil, that sort of thing, unicorns do not have any sense of a gray area. By that, what I mean is rape and murder are equivalent to lying to your spouse or stealing a stick of gum from the store. Or skipping out on your bill at a restaurant. Like, all of that is equivalent to a unicorn. There is no, you've either been completely good for your entire existence or you're bad.
What about accidentally stepping on a bug on the sidewalk?
Bad.
I guess. I guess if the unicorn determines that that's something you should never have ever done, you took a life, then yeah.
So you're saying that nobody can ride a unicorn?
For the most part, man, like the unicorn lore mythology is pretty absurd when it comes to that sort of thing. And not only are you not able to ride a unicorn, but if it is determined that you have committed any sort of atrocity in its very black and white view of what atrocity is, it murders you. It will gore the living hell out of you with that horn on its head. And anyway, a lot of stories say that it goes for the heart. It'll stick you right through the heart. But others say like it'll do things like trample you too. You know, it'll just knock you down and tap dance on your face, which I can't imagine feels good because horses weigh a lot. And these are traditionally a little bit bigger than a horse.
Is it murder or is it justice? It's even bad. You deserve to be punished for touching this unicorn.
This is one of those situations where someone's like, violence is not the answer. And you're like, no, violence is the question. And the answer was yes.
Unicorns are dicks.
They are assholes, bro. Absolute assholes. But the thing is, they also have, especially like in the esoteric community, a lot of properties to them, like the hair of the unicorn can be used for various magical rituals and things like that. The horn itself is supposedly has like this immense power. I forget what exactly it does, but
purification.
There you go. The tears can heal things. I even read like a brief, like weird off story about unicorn dung, which I don't remember how that goes. 'Cause I read it like a year ago. But that does something. So like they have like all these like, weird things. And then like supposedly if you kill a unicorn, your soul is stained. Like you will never remove that stain. Like the holiest of holies can come down and say, I have forgiven you for everything you've ever done. And then he'll look at that and be like, accept that. At least that's how the stories of the unicorns go. It's really, that's pretty much all it comes down to. They are partial to children. They like kids. But then again, kids are traditionally viewed as a form of innocence. Like children aren't actually able to be good or evil, and that seems like really arbitrary. But traditionally, when you're looking at a spiritual manner in many religions, spiritual faiths, just people in general, children are innocent. They don't understand good and evil, so they're not able to commit anything that would necessarily be evil because they don't know about it.
Well, I just got some random facts real quick that I thought were very interesting. So, the unicorn is the national animal of Scotland, which was pretty cool. Probably the coolest thing, well, I wouldn't say the coolest thing, but definitely the weirdest thing, I kind of want one myself, is that Michigan Lake Superior State University will issue a free unicorn hunting license. Also, along with mermaids, dragons, unicorns are in the top 3 mythical creatures known around the world. A unicorn horn was highly valued during the times that it was thought that the creature existed. Many other animals' horns and antlers were sold to the wealthy as fake unicorn horns. It was thought that a unicorn horn had magical powers, just as CJ was saying. It thought that it would purify water and neutralize poison. Therefore, kings thought that it couldn't be poisoned if they drank from the horn of a unicorn. It is thought that in the first mentions of the unicorn, they were describing a rhino. There is a marine version of the unicorn called a narwhal, which actually exists, nicknamed the unicorn of the sea. Many believe that the unicorn has one horn in the middle of its head, but when you look at the original stories and descriptions of the unicorn all the way back to ancient times, it's actually described as 2 horns twisted around each other so tightly that they give off the perception that they are one horn. The unicorn is a symbol of chastity, virginity, and virtue. The cylinder seals of both Babylonia and Assyria had the imprinting of the unicorn. These seals were used to show ownership of various items such as weaponry, masonry, livestock, and buildings.
Real quick, Jeremy, with the 2 horns twisted together to form a single, that was a specific type of unicorn. That's not a generalized thing. That's a very specific.
I bought this book on unicorns, and they specifically go over like ancient Babylonian, Assyrian, and really, really deep stuff back in like BCE kind of stuff, where they actually show you pictures of artworks and everything and stuff like that, and descriptions using hieroglyphs. And there's a whole translator in the book and everything. And the original description of the unicorn actually did describe that they had 2 horns tangled around each other. Right. Now there are different variations past that, but I was just kind of alluding to the original description of the unicorn.
Right. Yeah, but I'm just saying like that, like past that particular culture, they just completely disregard that absolutely everywhere else. It's very specific to that culture.
I did mention when the original stories, I said that specifically. The original stories of the unicorn describe 2 horns twisted around each other. But no, I completely understand. But even if you look at unicorn horns or how they're depicted, they do have that swirling feature to it, which could pass off as 2 horns encircled around each other. In 1486 and 1487, 2 gold coins were printed by Scotland with the depiction of the unicorn on the face. The value of each coin was 18 and 19 S. I don't know what S is. I couldn't find it, but it was a value of currency. And you can actually Google those coins. Google does have pictures of those coins. They're really cool looking. Very, very old. Those coins were referred to as the unicorn and the half unicorn. When the unicorn was depicted on the official shield of many Scottish families, it was the color known as argent, which is the same color gray that was used to describe the moon. Narwhal horns were often sold as unicorn horns to the wealthy. Babylonian art often depicted a unicorn, but most of the art actually showed the unicorn as a goat instead of a horse. Along with the unicorn, the lion also made many appearances in the same pieces. The moon, as well as the sun, did too. As well, there was always a tree near the unicorn in which the unicorn's horn was either touching the tree or pointing towards it.
The tree of life.
I believe so. Many other animals other than horses were depicted, kind of just piggybacking off what CJ said here, throughout history as unicorns. And those were rhinos, ibexes, goats, antelope, and deer.
Rhinos specifically are the tactical assault unicorns.
A female unicorn is known as a cow, and a male is known as a bull. And the last one I have is unicorns showed up in art, coins, and seals in many ancient civilizations, such as Babylon, Persia, Assyria, Acadia, ancient Crete, Egypt, Asia Minor, and Greece.
You know, if you guys really quick just take a moment and Google ancient Persian unicorn, I think you're going to really enjoy that picture.
Copy. What the hell is that?
Yeah, it's got like a billion legs and stuff. It's awesome. It looks like a big goop monster, man.
So yeah, I got this book by Robert Brown. It's the Unicorn Mythological Investigation, and it's actually presented by Lauren Coleman, who is a world-renowned cryptozoologist. They dive really deep into very, very ancient cultures, especially around the Middle East area and Northern Africa. But they also dive into Latin America, South American lore, where the unicorn was shown up. And there was even depictions of a unicorn found in a lot of Native American art as well. The strange thing about the unicorn is that it was depicted all around the world, even with civilizations that had no way of communicating with each other.
What's odd is in a lot of these cultures too, it's a purity symbol.
Yes.
So a lot of like the mythology is consistent. It's sort of like dragons, right? You have you have instances of dragons in every culture on the planet except for like one, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Where like the unicorn is all over the world, and in most places, even in that weird Persia one, it's a purity symbol.
There was a couple of different variations too. So when you go to like different areas of the world, one example that I have is the Qilin from China, which had a 12-foot horn and a coat made of 5 sacred colors. They didn't really go into what the colors were, but they just said it was 5 sacred colors, which I thought was pretty cool. But you definitely had some pretty wild variations of these things. But I thought it was really cool that there was even variations of them in general all around the world. I feel like it's not a natural thing for civilizations to come to, just throwing a horn on a horse. I don't feel like that's a natural thing.
Well, you know, honestly, like this goes back really, really far. And even the Bible talks about unicorns.
Yeah, but most Bible scholars today, even the ones in the Vatican, say that it was basically a mistranslation from Hebrew to Latin. That the original word had nothing to do with it. They don't go into a description of it. It's not like Job where they're talking about the behemoth, where it really sounds like it's talking about a brontosaurus or some kind of dinosaur. It's like there's no explanation. It's like strength of a unicorn, blah, blah, all this stuff. But the original word for it is a completely separate animal. And I was actually watching a thing on it, a documentary on it, and they're talking about the history of the unicorn. And they had like priests in the Vatican talking about it. And they're like, yeah, this was just a mistake. This was the first translation, and it just stuck. It's not what people think it is. It really isn't a unicorn. If anything, it could have been some kind of a gazelle or maybe a rhino having a singular horn, but it's not like you would expect it to be.
I'm actually kind of glad you brought that up, because in unicorn history, there was an animal that existed in Europe, and I believe it was a breed of gazelle where it had 2 horns, but they twisted together. Andrew, do you remember what I'm talking about?
No, I'm not familiar.
We did the it's an extinct animal from Europe, and it was a unicorn, and it was very similar to a gazelle.
I've seen a picture of it during my research. I couldn't find any information on it, but I also had heard that at some point too.
Oryx.
An oryx?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually Aristotle wrote about the oryx in relation to unicorns. It was really interesting. There's a lot of people from history that we all know the names of that talked about unicorns. And that was interesting to find out.
They say there's also a dinosaur too.
Where Jeremy mentioned about how unicorns, like the females are cows and the males are bulls, do you think it might be possible within like the context of the Bible, where like it mentions in Psalms about like the unicorn's horn and whatnot, they were really talking about cows instead?
It's certainly possible.
Speculative thought. Just it was an invasive thought. I don't know.
So there's one thing that I would like to point out about this whole topic, right? When we originally came up with the idea, CJ and Andrew came up with this actually a long time ago. I was a little weary about doing this topic. I'm not going to lie, but I did find it interesting, and it was a way to branch out into something new with Infinite Rabbit Hole. All that fear has gone out the window, because there is a lot here. that is very, very interesting. Now, me personally, I took my research, like I said, back way, way, way back in time. So I don't have a lot of the current stuff to go over. But I think that with so much evidence of this creature in artwork, pottery, stories, and everything from way, way, way back in the beginning of history, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that I'm not going to say that the unicorn never existed.
I mean, rhinos exist today. They're technically unicorns.
I'm talking about the more, traditional unicorn, and maybe not necessarily a horse. Like I had put out that a lot of the art depictions in Babylon were actually of goats. Maybe it was a goat.
I have something for that.
Ooh, do you?
Yeah. So just for context, CJ, I just looked it up, and the original word in Hebrew is RE''em, Ra'im or Ra'em, and that literally translates to a number of things based off the context, but like wild ox, wild bull, rhinoceros is also included in there. So maybe if it was in the context of a rhinoceros and they were like, oh, unicornus because it has one horn, and then that just stuck, and then pop culture and all kinds of legends and lore because of the unicorn and all sorts of stuff. Not to mention travelers that are going through and they're seeing all these exotic animals, because the animals we have here in the States are not anything like the animals that are over in, Africa and parts of Asia and all sorts of stuff. So if someone were to go from here to there, take that, or even parts of Europe and take months on a boat to get to some place, see a rhinoceros for the first time, then leave to go wherever they came from. In that 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months of travel, their mind can go absolutely crazy with what they saw. And the next thing they know, they're spreading a bunch of fantasy land stuff.
We're also talking about cultures that drank alcohol throughout the day regularly.
Excessively, right?
Well, and I mean, there's a really good reason for that, believe it or not. Alcohol's sterile. Clean water was not exactly easy to come by. You always got animals shitting in there and stuff. So, you never know what's coming downstream. So alcohol was a safe liquid to drink. These people are just slam hammied all day long. They day drink like it's COVID-19.
Ooh, you can't say that. We're gonna get our shit taken down again.
What, really? Oh
no, I'm just kidding. As a joke.
Oh, just beep it out or something. Put the Pokemon noise on there.
Yeah, crossover.
but like, could you just imagine, like, you've been on sea for how long? You get off, you're hammered, and there's a rhinoceros, and you're like, oh shit. Especially if it's nighttime, like, and like we have like these stories where like the unicorn is associated with the moon, and like the goddess can take the form of the unicorn, which is a thing. I mean, like, and like you have all these people that like talk about it and stuff, and now you're drunk and you're seeing that.
So in my research, I tried looking at lore, and I really kept finding the same 7 things over and over and over again, right? Like, and so I wanted to know the history behind those things, like the belief that it could be, drank out of or dipped into liquids and remove the poison from them. So I wanted to see where did that, come from, because it's all based in something. All the lore is based in something usually. And that was, you're right, the nobles, Elizabeth I, Henry VIII of England, and Charles IX of France, all had quote unquote unicorn horns that they purchased from Danish traders who were getting them from narwhals. They were cutting off narwhal teeth, selling them to these. It was actually such a big thing that the Danish government was in on it, because it was such a wealthy trade for them of selling these English and French noblemen and noble ladies unicorn horns, because of the belief that they're so pure that they could take away poisons and all that stuff. And they actually still have, in museums, their unicorn horns, quote unquote, which are, 4.5 foot, 6 foot long narwhal teeth. But there was a lot of explorers that went in different areas that talk about unicorns. And one thing that was interesting is that some of those sorts of explorers weren't just there to look around and find a new area. They were there, traveling, and they would come back with like, this is what we saw along our trip. we went somewhere new. This is, we drew pictures of everything that we saw. And one of those things that that kind of jumped out at me was that kind of the last official, I guess, sighting or description of a sighting happened in 1486. And this was a writing from a guy named Renard von Bredenbach. And he and a group took a pilgrimage to the Holy Land from France. So they went from France and they took 2 years and they got all the way up to Israel and Jerusalem. And then they came back. And when they came back, they were writing a book along the way of all the interesting creatures they're running into. The illustrations were really, really well done. And they kind of had that medieval like art style to them. Like the way they draw hair and stuff, it was all kind of clumpy and wavy and stuff. And all the claws kind of look like, I guess, the way you draw talons. It was, they have that certain art style where if you look like at a coat of arms, it's like really different than how you would draw that animal, if you were just trying to sketch it.
Yeah.
But they were really similar to the animals that they drew. So like they saw a giraffe, they saw a crocodile, they found a humanoid ape, which could have been, a gorilla or something if they'd never seen that before. Honestly, the picture to me looked a lot like Bigfoot, but it was a humanoid ape. And honestly, there could have been a lot of racism at the time, and it could have been a person. And because I know that was a thing for a long time, up until like the 1980s, there were still laws in parts of the world where you could hunt like, pygmy people and stuff.
Well, not to cut you off, but that silverback gorillas they thought were myths until like recently, right?
Right.
1902.
Yeah.
Well, there's also that thing where that disease where like your body grows like full body hair like all over the place. Maybe they saw somebody with that situation going on.
I mean, it's possible. It's
lycanthropy.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things that one could have been, certainly, and I'd like to kind of look into that a little bit. But they also saw a camel, salamanders, 2 Indian goats, and they saw a unicorn. And it looks exactly like you'd expect a unicorn to look.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
All right, so just to kind of like,
I'm sorry,
illuminate that a little bit. Andrew, you're such a dick.
I mean, it doesn't look like a rhino or an antelope. It doesn't look like a goat. It looks like a dang horse with a horn on its head. And there's even like Aristotle talked about the Indian wild ass, that it was, he talked about that Greek physician, was it Ctesias or however you pronounce his name, that he was talking about unicorns and saying that its head was purple and its horn was black and white and red. And he said that guy is a liar, but there is a single horned like wild ass in India, and that has a solid hoof. And so it's interesting, right? That there's a lot of big name people that have really huge reputations to lose, like Aristotle, talking about unicorns. And he also kind of pinpointed that Greek physician was probably making it up because there's no historical evidence of that physician ever going to India to see that unicorn, or to other parts of the world to see unicorns and stuff. So maybe he was hearing it from other travelers.
The only thing that makes me speculate on something like that is like, if we take the myth of the Mitla, right? That was a guy going down the river, was it like the Congo or something, or Amazon? And he was literally just dropping acid and floating in a boat down this river, and described an animal that was a hybrid between a cat and a dog, and he called it a Mitla. Back in the times that we're talking about now, weren't these people like just casually using substances like fairly regularly, getting fucked up on stuff?
Yeah, like mercury.
Things like that, yeah.
Yeah, because they were trying to like transmute for gold, and they're just like, let's just use random stuff and that'll turn into gold. Mercury
was also a common cure for constipation time period, but
I'm sure it worked.
So like, if you get mercury in a cut, it gets in your bloodstream and poisons you. But if you drink mercury, it won't necessarily get into your blood, because the little tubes in your stomach that absorb the nutrients, too little for it to pass through. But it will give you the worst shits of your life.
So it works.
Yeah, don't go drinking mercury, people. Don't go drinking mercury. It's a bad plan because you could have an ulcer or something, and it will get into your bloodstream then. But so they were doing stuff like that. Wormwood was a common cure. They were using nightshade in small doses, which will cause hallucinations. So there's a possibility that like when they were seeing animals like this, that they were describing whatnot, that they were high as fuck.
Hey everybody, bear with us while we take this quick break.
So if you were going to drink mercury for that reason, how much would you have to take?
Oh, I don't know the exact dosage.
Let's not answer that.
Listen, just go get some castor oil. It's really, really effective and safe.
No, coconut milk.
Wasn't there a whole thing in like the witch trials in the United States that people were eating like moldy rye bread and tripping out on that, and they were saying like, oh, they're witches and they're, you know, possessed by the devil and stuff?
Yeah, there's certain funguses that grow in bread that'll make you trip. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure that I don't know how we got to the point where we know what plants are safe and what plants are dangerous and what mushrooms we can eat, what ones we can't eat. And if these explorers were just going along the way and they were seeing actual animals and just tripping out of their minds, and that's possible too.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, people did weird shit too. Like a common way of finding dead bodies was you stuffed a vial of mercury into a loaf of bread and threw that bitch in the water, and it would supposedly go to the dead body.
Weird.
So they did lots and lots of weird stuff with chemicals that you should not be handling.
Party on.
Be excellent to each other.
The unicorns versus lions. It is said that the unicorn's biggest enemy is the lion. They both appear on the royal coat of arms for the United Kingdom. The lion represents England, the unicorn representing Scotland. The unicorn was also sometimes shown as an alicorn, a mixture of a Pegasus and a unicorn. Thank you to my daughter who gave me that information, by the way. Google could not give that to me. I had to rely on my 9-year-old. Thank you.
Yeah, if you want information on unicorns, Little Girls is the best place to get that information from.
Dude, she knew that right off the top of her head. I was like, I know there's a name for this thing. And she's like, alicorn. I'm like, thank you. The lion was sometimes shown as a griffin, a mixture of various flying creatures and a lion. The winged variations of these two animals helped with the story of a great battle in the sky for dominance of the sun and moon. Many different ancient civilizations throughout Asia, Africa, and South America referred to the moon as being masculine and the sun being feminine. Therefore, many of these same civilizations thought the unicorn as a masculine creature, hence being easily succumbed to a female virgin, and the lion being the feminine creature. Now, to kind of take a step back and kind of tell you what I was talking about there, let's talk about how to capture a unicorn. It was thought that in order to capture a unicorn, you need to set up a specific trap and have the cooperation of a female virgin. You would need to find a forest where they're present, locate a clearing in the forest, find a tree stump or a fallen tree for the virgin to sit on. This is because unicorns are said to let their guard down around young, beautiful female virgins. Then, as the unicorn comes over to the virgin, you would have to trap it by way of surprise. That's how you would hunt a unicorn.
By surprise, do they mean 30-06?
No, because they didn't exist back then.
I would suggest killing one because apparently it's the unforgivable sin.
It really is in mythology. Like in mythology, there really is not much more that's worse than killing a unicorn. It's crazy.
Many cultures told the stories of the relationship of the unicorn, the moon, and the lion, the sun. Most of these consisted of one of two general stories. One in which there was a rivalry between the two, where they were either in a race or a battle for the pinnacle of the sky. The other, where they are in a marriage, and where the unicorn is the husband and the lion is the wife. The different phases of the moon would represent how much the moon was eaten by the lion. In many ancient cultures, the unicorn was seen as the protector against the dark. Humans are naturally weary of the dark, so since the moon comes out during the night, it was seen as an animal of protection against all the evils associated with the darkness.
Yeah, it's where we get the story of the moon goddess taking the form of a unicorn and interacting with man.
Yeah. There was a cult in ancient Egypt called the solar cult. You guys know anything about them?
Mm-mm.
Is that the same group that was it like the worshippers of Ra or something like that? Like,
I don't know.
Is that what we're talking about?
all I looked into about this cult was the unicorn aspects of it, like their beliefs in the unicorn. I didn't really get to do much. This is something I do want to do some research into because it seemed very interesting. And see that there was a cult like this back then in such ancient times was very appealing to me. But the sun cult in ancient Egypt believed that there was a constant battle between the lion and the unicorn. The leader at the time would determine the phase of the day, the lion for day, the unicorn for night. The battle would consist of the two of them constantly racing for the summit of heaven. The moon also belonged to the seas and was a symbol of all bodies of water. Therefore, the cult believed that before any animal or person would drink or gather from a water source, it would first have to be purified by the unicorn. The closest thing I could find to defining what this meant was that they would wait for the water to reflect the image of the moon before drinking or gathering water, and would no longer gather or drink from the source once the sun reflected off of it. That's pretty much it.
That's primitive moon water stuff. They still do that in a lot of esoteric practices now. They'll put bottles of water out underneath the light of the moon to charge it with moon energy, and then you don't expose it to the sunlight because sunlight would counteract the power. That's interesting.
Very strange.
Yeah. I wouldn't say strange, but it's definitely a tradition that's obviously passed down from one of the most ancient cultures on the planet. So
right. Be very interested to learn more about that cult, what their beliefs were, because it was very prominent in a section of this book, but they only jumped into the parts of the cult that the unicorn was reflected in. So very curious as to what else they believed. They had some pretty wild stuff. There was some stuff in the book, unicorn wise, that the stories got way too complex. There's a whole story where there's it's like a third wheel between the unicorn and the lion, the leopard. The lion chases the leopard into the tree. The unicorn stabs the leopard out of the tree, and then the lion eats the unicorn. And it's like this circle of it's like what do they call them now? The tri-relationships or whatever, right? The three-way relationships. Really, really weird stuff. I didn't know how to write it down and put it in a way that I can say on it. Yeah, something like that. But it was more of like a hate triangle. It was very strange.
There's no enemy of my enemy here. We're just all fucking fighting.
And each one of them was specifically after one particular one. It was very, very strange. It had to do with like a cave system and everything too, where the sun comes down into the cave and the moon comes out. And then for some reason, another astral body was the leopard. And I couldn't figure out, the book never told you what the astral body for the leopard was. I don't know. Anyways, the worst part of the book by far.
I think the most interesting aspect of the unicorn is the sheer amount of lore and mythology that's behind it. Like, I would say that it's at least on par with dragons when it comes to the lore, the background, the stories, how many times it's been depicted throughout pop culture, things like that. Even from way back then, and like even like with the most popular cryptids nowadays, like the Jersey Devil or even Bigfoot, they don't hold a candle to the amount of lore and mythology that are behind the unicorn. It's absolutely insane.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that the dragon and the unicorn actually have something behind them. Like they're a lot more tangible. I mean, as a creationist, I believe that we at some point lived alongside dinosaurs, and that's where dragons come from, because there's plenty of flying dinosaurs. There was snake-like dinosaurs or giant snakes, all kinds of stuff. And then unicorns, I mean, they actually have the horns, their narwhal teeth or other various types of antlers or whatever, horns from other types of animals, but they're so much more tangible, and it's just like there's physical stuff behind them that we can look at and be like, well, that's where it came from. Or maybe even we could call them real, in some way, in some part, maybe not to the full capacity, but they are, there's real elements of them. There's tangible things we can touch and feel.
Oh, I'm with you on that one. Yeah. When it comes to the unicorn, like there's nothing that's that says that a horse with a horn is completely unrealistic, right? I mean, obviously the stories and stuff that are behind it, questionable, but
right.
But like if you were to say, hey, I discovered a new species of animal, it's now scientifically recognized, it's a horse and it has a horn, it'd be like, that's crazy.
Be like, wow, like every other bovine out there.
Right. And right. And if we think about it, like if we're looking at ancient horse remains, or like we find fossils, because when you talk about finding fossils and stuff, finding a complete skeleton of something is so rare.
Right.
But there's a good reason that you don't find things like horns. Like for instance, when bucks shed their antlers, or when moose drop their racks.
Yep.
Typical like rodents and stuff come by and very, very quickly will chew upon these things. They get calcium from it. They gnaw their teeth down. Insects will do things. Yeah. So like it's actually really rare, like to find like discarded antlers or racks out in the woods. And if you do, you're very, very lucky. So there's no reason to think that like a unicorn goes down, it dies, that rodents came by and chewed on the horn. The horn's keratin. More than likely, right? Where a bone is calcium, So I mean that could be why, like we have found the remains of a unicorn, but the horn didn't make it because that's what nature does.
Right. We just found the skeleton of the horse or the mule, and we're just like, eh.
I just found one more thing that for some reason I skipped over, but it ties into how there were these infamous kings that had these unicorn horns. Do you know how they would test a unicorn horn?
Smearing it with poop to see if it would glow in the dark.
In some kingdoms, there was an official position given to a peasant, right? That actually was given a room in some of these families, or a position in some of these families, and their only job was to drink poison out of a horn that was said to be a unicorn horn.
Oh,
yeah,
awful.
That was their only job, was to drink the poison, and if they didn't croak, then the king or the noble would buy the unicorn horn.
Oh wow, maybe there's a couple of them that lived, or at least for a while. That's why they had the other ones. I told you guys,
they were playing with stuff, chemicals that should not be touched. Oh
man, it's messed up.
Yeah.
Or they developed tolerance. Maybe they didn't catch enough of a dose, or they had like a high enough immune system ahead of time, and they just built a tolerance. Right now, there's a guy, you can look at his YouTube channel. He's immune to snake bites. I watched this dude take 3 bites from a black mamba. They're actually, because how antivenom is made is a snake bites a horse, and then they draw the antibodies from the horse, from the horse's immune system. And that's where you get your antivenom from, which is why it's so crazy expensive, because it's stupid hard to make. So there's a guy online right now, and he gets bitten by venomous snakes on the regular, and his immune system has built up tolerance to the venom. He can get bit by some of the most ridiculous snakes on the planet, and he's just like, yeah, it hurts, it's swollen, I'm okay. And they're actually using him to develop a universal antivenom to all snake bites. So you have this peasant who's drinking poison out of the unicorn horn regularly. Maybe he's just got a big old tolerance.
Well, one thing I thought is a possibility to this was that somebody, let's just use rum for example, right? There's an alcohol out there where somebody drank a shit ton of rum and died from drinking too much, alcohol poisoning, and so now the king thinks that rum is poison. So now he's making this guy drink rum out of these quote unquote unicorn horns, and all he's getting is this little buzz. And he's like, I mean, it doesn't do a great job, but yeah, you'll survive. Well, all jokes aside, though, that is definitely a
bad batch of mead. Yeah. he got a nice spot in the castle for a couple days. Man,
could you imagine going home to mom and be like, "Mom, I just got a new job. It's in the castle."
They said that all I gotta do is drink some liquid with a horn in it. I'm like, okay.
Sure. Told you I didn't need to go to school, Mom.
I'm not gonna work in the stables for the rest of my life, like Pa.
you walk back through your front door and your wife is like, "You lived again?"
Damn it.
Right.
I'm calling the insurance guy. This is nonsense.
That's all I have. I mean, this was a lot funner. Like, you like that word, funner? This was
more
funner.
Better.
It was more betterer to research the unicorn than I thought it was going to be. I had a lot of fun with this, actually.
Andrew and I told you, bro, when we were talking about doing this episode, we told you.
Oh yeah,
you did. You win. This was a good stuff.
I'm 2 for 2 with it today. What's going on?
You guys have been bringing a lot of really good content to Infinite Rabbit Hole. I just have to say that real quick.
I wish there was more. I wish that no, I mean, as far as like the unicorn stuff goes, I kept finding the same people talking about the same stuff over and over and over again.
I mean, you didn't touch pop culture at all. Art, video games, movies.
We're talking about history and mythology and stuff, right?
Well, that's the same thing I'm talking about there too. Like, you're arguing semantics, I guess, because like these are stories that are built, right? And then modern day stories would be movies and other stuff. Unless you're saying unicorns were real.
I think that there's a chance they could have been. I'll go out on a limb there.
It's not unreasonable. Like, of all the cryptids out there that we could be talking about that are just like Owl Man, like just like a perverse owl who flashes people in a tent, like that's weird. But like horse with a horn, like what's not believable about that? Like, okay, so maybe there was a horse and it had a horn. Like, all right. Like,
I wish that there was more in the sense that it feels like it's in the same realm to me as trolls and fairies and goblins and that sort of stuff, because you kind of see them all lumped together in like the whole fantasy thing. And CJ kind of touched on it a little bit with the whole, if you try to touch one or get near one and you're not pure of heart completely, like it'll gore you to death and trample you and stomp your face in. And that was, I was looking for more of that dark sort of grim fairy tale sort of stuff, where it's like we have what everyone knows about unicorns, which is the Disney version. And then when you do the research of it, you get more into the, wow, this is some really messed up stuff. But I didn't really find much of that. And so I like the history portion of it. And I also could be in the area of like, yeah, why not? It probably existed. Maybe at least just one with a weird defect, or something like that. Some calcium deposit in its head and it has a bump or, whatever, protrusion. But I like the fact that like the Danish people were just completely ripping off the English and the French. That was hilarious. I loved it. I was like, there you go. But yeah, I mean, it was cool. It was interesting.
Yeah. Final thoughts, Andrew. Do you believe that the unicorn was real?
I'm actually, if CJ's cool with it, for the bonus episode, since our stuff's no longer there, being the episode we did of Cryptid Technical.
Oh no, I don't give a shit. We gave Jeremy those episodes to use for the Patreon for that exact reason.
So if they want to find my answer, they can check out our Patreon bonus episode.
Ooh.
Of historic Cryptid Technical, no longer out there because we removed it, so you can only find it through the Patreon.
Look at that. We have a whole podcast inside of this podcast available to patrons only.
Yeah, it's 98 episodes of our shenanigans.
Nice.
Quality stuff. All right, CJ, what do you think? Fact or bullshit?
So I would totally buy that there's a horse with a horn at some point in history. I'm on board, kind of like with Jake on that one, and even being like into the esoteric woo, the whole horn being able to purify any sort of poison or whatever. So there's magic and then there's science, and I feel like something like that would fall into the realm of science, and I don't think that would be possible. So, and I don't think it's tears are healing your bullet wounds either.
Cry on me.
Cry on me, baby, please. Dying. No, so I mean, horse with a horn? I don't see why not. Very drunk or very high ancient peoples coming up with a lot of fun stories about the horse with the horn. I 100% buy.
There's a lot of boredom over there.
Right, like there was nothing to do back then but tell stories. Like
Yep.
that was the entertainment.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
there was a position. It was called bard. They did that. Like I don't know. I don't buy all the super esoteric end of the unicorn in itself. But I'd be totally like, yeah. If they were like, oh, here's a skeleton, I'd be like, okay, yeah. Not shocked.
Wow. Jake, fact or bullshit, man?
Fact. 100% fact. All of it. with a little bit of crap in there, but mostly fact. No, I believe that it was probably a thing, that it was probably a rhino or something like that. And I agree with what with what CJ is saying about the bored, drunk, high people. Like I totally buy it. I'm like, they probably saw something. They saw something with a twisted horn, whatever it may be, or geez, just a gazelle that was missing a horn, and they're like, unicorn. I'm like, yep. I mean, they would be right. One horn, then you got it. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They went American lingo with that one.
I'm gonna agree. I came into the idea of even doing an episode on the unicorn as complete BS. Like really, like I came in. I was like, this is horse shit. This is nothing. There's no substance here whatsoever. And then I started doing some research and finding out how far it actually goes back. And now I'm on board. I think that because how old Babylon is, I think that the unicorn had a really, really good chance of being a goat creature instead of a horse. Mm-hmm. I really, really do. And over time, it just kind of evolved into the horse because it had, it had an image to uphold. So, I mean, a horse, it's this majestic creature. I can see that being a thing. I do not believe in any of the purification or anything like that. Whatever. That's just, their theories from back then. They can have them. I don't.
I definitely don't think you're going to be denied an afterlife for killing one.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't. That's another one of the. But I'm on board. I'm on board. Unicorns, I believe, existed. I kind of feel what Jake was saying, where he wishes there was more. I'm more in like the realm of I wish there was more evidence. Like I wish that we had found like a horse with a horn coming out of its forehead, like a skeleton or something. But like CJ was saying, I don't think that you're ever going to find that because of all the nutrients, the keratin and stuff, unless it's, actually, it's not even, there's no way it could have been bone. But I think I'm on board. I think I'm on board with the unicorn.
I just looked up on Google goat with one horn, and I've found probably 40 pictures right off the bat of goats with one single horn coming out of the center of their head.
So you're going to say you were not disappointed with the one horn church?
Nope. It's perfect. Yeah. Like I was just sitting there thinking about, he was talking about like a goat or something like that. And I was just like, you remember, I remember seeing this one goat. It had 5 horns. They call it like the devil goat or something like that, because it had ones that kind of came out the bottoms and then 2 that curled around like a ram and then one that would come out of the middle. And I was like, why couldn't there be a goat with one horn? So I just Googled it, and sure enough. So yeah, maybe. And then the mythology follows from there.
Yeah, I think so. All right. Well, does anybody have anything else before we get to the bottom?
No.
I'm good.
Well, for those of you that are not patrons of our podcast, this is where you're going to get off. Okay. We're going to kick you out of the rabbit hole now, and we're going to meet all the patrons down at the bottom. So if anybody would like to become a patron, you can go to patreon.com/infinite rabbit hole and sign up for any of our tiers, and you'll get access to the bonus content that we're going to talk about at the bottom. And that's going to be, what did we say? We said
the relevancy of in pop culture of the unicorn.
Yes. That's going to be pop culture, unicorn pop culture stuff. I would assume we're going to talk about awesome topics such as furries and bronies and stuff like that. So if you guys want to get weird, meet us down at the bottom of the hole. Until next time, that has been another episode of Infinite Rabbit Hole,
where the furries find your hole.
Later, guys.
See ya. Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Infinite Rabbit Hole. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can do so at infiniterabbithole@gmail.com. Follow us at facebook.com/infinite rabbit hole. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/infiniterh. Follow us on Instagram at infinite_rabbit_hole. We're always looking for someone that has a story to share. So if you feel like you've experienced a strange encounter with something that you can't explain, reach out to us. Let us know. Come on, have a good time, tell your story. And if for some reason you don't want to show up on a podcast, send us a letter in our email in a format that we can read to the fans, and we'll be more than happy to read it to everybody. Well, that's all for this episode. We'll see you next time down the Infinite Rabbit Hole.